Local groups are getting ready for another year of back-to-school events. State public health officials are monitoring a foodborne illness outbreak. And Ardmore just celebrated 139 years as a Southern Oklahoma hub. These stories and more on This Week in Ardmore from Ardmore Leader. I'm News Director Michael Dean Smith. Thanks for downloading episode 73 of This Week in Ardmore. This is a weekly podcast from Ardmore Leader dedicated to independent coverage of local news. Let's catch up on what I've been following around Ardmore, Oklahoma for the week of July 31st. Students here in Ardmore will head back to school in less than 2 weeks, and next weekend will be full of opportunities for families to get some help sending their kids back to school. 3 annual back-to-school events are scheduled for next weekend, including the Ardmore Literacy Day at Central Park on Saturday, a school supplies giveaway on Sunday, and then a back-to-school bash on Monday. And along with these annual events that provide supplies, backpacks, information, even free haircuts, next week we'll also host some other school supply drives and even a chance for kids to get some free clothes. Just a reminder, both Ardmore and Plainview school districts return to class on Thursday, August 13th. State public health officials say that about 300 people are confirmed to have contracted cyclosporiasis. That's a gastrointestinal illness caused by the cyclospora parasite. The illness is being tracked by state and federal health officials, with fresh produce being among the most high-risk foods connected with the outbreak. With the most severe symptoms of this illness including uncontrollable diarrhea, at least 18 Oklahomans have already been hospitalized. Oklahoma is among at least 9 states across the country where the illness is being tracked by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Today was the last day to get registered for the August 25th primary runoff elections in Oklahoma, and along with setting the final November ballots, the August 25th election will also have voters deciding the fate of 2 ballot measures. State Question 844 looks to update the rules on how some manufacturers are exempt from property taxes and how local entities like school and county governments would be reimbursed for those exemptions. Supporters say the new rules would help stabilize budgets for local entities, while opponents argue that the change would mean less money for public schools. A second State Question 846, would require voters to provide a proof of identification when voting in any election in the state. But the State Question does not identify what would be considered a valid proof of ID, instead leaving that up to state lawmakers. Now, while the primary runoffs for August 25th are closed to those not registered with that political party, those 2 state questions are open for all voters, regardless of a political affiliation. Hey, don't forget some of these news stories are in our Ardmore Leader weekly newsletter that's out every Friday. You can find it at a handful of downtown businesses, but the best way to find it, get it delivered to your email inbox for free by visiting our website, ardmoreleader.com. You can join over 110-something of your local neighbors in getting an independent look at local news and events delivered straight to your email inbox with no annoying spam emails, no subscription fees. This is just a professional newsletter with things you can't really see on this podcast. Plus, when you look at the newsletter, you can learn more about some other local businesses that are showing their support for advancing local news. In the printed newsletter this weekend is some content from an Ardmore City Schools educator who recently traveled to Washington, D.C. for a summit about some of the most pressing issues for Oklahoma education. Lisa Moore writes about her experience at the Exceptional Children's Special Education Legislative Summit, where she met with Oklahoma's congressional delegation to talk funding, staffing, and how lawmakers can help students with disabilities and other special needs. We also have a column from Ardmore Leader co-owner Kim Benedict this week about this week's 139th anniversary of Ardmore, Oklahoma. Not only does Kim give a quick history lesson about our hometown, but she also talks about the highs and lows of our past and what could be in store for our future. What are you celebrating as Ardmore marks 139 years, going from a ditch and a few tents in Indian Territory to the commercial, economic, and cultural hub of Southern Oklahoma? Read Kim's column in the newsletter or online, then let us know what you think by checking out the opinion page on our website and then even sending us a letter to the editor. Ardmore financial advisor Cody Steele will be back next week with his Edward Jones Market Snapshot commentary. And stick around until the end, because every episode of This Week in Ardmore wraps up with the schedule. As always, I'll have details about some upcoming public meetings. I'll also have the complete wrap of all of those back-to-school events happening, so you can be ready to start the school year right. And with that said, that's the headlines. Let's go ahead and dive into what I've been following this week in Ardmore for the week of July 31st, 2026. Oklahoma is among 9 states across the country dealing with a parasite that has already sickened thousands of people nationwide and has even left several Oklahomans hospitalized. The Oklahoma State Department of Public Health on Tuesday updated the number of confirmed cases of cyclosporiasis in the state to 298, with an additional 5 suspected cases. This most recent update has added more than 60 new cases to the state's tally, which has recorded more than 250 cases since July 4th. Now, cyclosporiasis is a gastrointestinal illness that's caused by cyclospora. It's a single-celled parasite, and then it's contracted by ingesting contaminated food or water. According to OSDH, most cases of cyclosporiasis in the U.S. typically occur between May and August. Oklahoma public health officials monitor over 100 communicable and infectious diseases, with cyclosporiasis among 14 tracked foodborne illnesses. Nationwide, nearly 2,000 people are confirmed to have contracted the parasite, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. A notice from the CDC last week about the outbreak saying that the true number of sick people in this multi-state outbreak, though, is likely higher than the number reported, and that the outbreak may not be limited to the states with known illnesses. Nationwide epidemiological and traceback data continues to show that it was iceberg lettuce from the company Taylor Farms de Mexico that was contaminated with cyclospora and has made people sick. Kendra Doherty is the deputy state epidemiologist with OSDH, and she said in a statement this week that the historical high-risk items for cyclospora include leafy greens and fresh herbs.
If you would like to protect yourself, make sure that you're washing your fresh produce really well before you consume it, or you can avoid some of the high-risk items or only eat them cooked.
Doherty said that anyone experiencing watery diarrhea for at least a week should consult their medical provider for further testing and treatment.
In Oklahoma, we have launched a dashboard for individuals to see weekly updates on our case counts, as well as some summary information.
OSDH first launched the dashboard back on July 14th, when there were 56 reported cases statewide. Annual events to prepare students and families for the new school year will return early next month. Multiple events over a decade have helped prepare thousands of Ardmore students to return to school thanks to the efforts of hundreds of people from dozens of organizations. Ardmore Literacy Day has been preparing families for the return to school since at least 2014, when the Ardmore Literacy Leadership Coalition formed and started bringing community organizations together for this annual event here in downtown Ardmore. Over the years, local groups and sponsors have offered school supplies along with information about education and health for hundreds of students and families. This year, eye screenings and a dental goodie bag will be available along with those other school supplies. The 2026 Ardmore Literacy Day will happen on Saturday, August 8th from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. at Central Park. The following day, Strength in Numbers Foundation will hold their 6th annual Back to School Supply giveaway. Over a dozen local groups and organizations will join forces for this event at the Marketplace on Broadway, right here in downtown Ardmore. That Strength in Numbers Back to School Supply giveaway will be happening on Sunday, August 9th, from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. And then finally, on Monday, August 10th, will be the HFV Wilson Community Center's Back to School Bash, with another chance for Ardmore families to get some supplies and services for back to school. Now, along with backpacks and supplies, free haircuts have also been donated by area barbers and stylists for several years for the HFV Wilson's Back to School Bash. This year, they've got 7 barbers and stylists that will be available to cut and style. But the community center does say that in order for a student to receive that free haircut, their hair must be washed and dried completely before the event. The Back to School Bash will be at the HFV Wilson Community Center coming up on Monday, August 10th from 9 a.m. until noon. Now, along with those organizations either directly sponsoring or supporting these annual events, some other groups are also helping prepare Ardmore students for the return to class later in August. Sarah's Project, that's an organization that provides services to help children and adults in crisis after a trauma, abuse, or some sort of loss. Sarah's Project will also be providing free children's clothing. The Sarah's Project children's clothes will be available on Friday, August 7th from 8:30 a.m. until 3 p.m. at their offices at 814 16th Avenue Northwest. And the Ardmore Young Professionals will also be meeting at Walmart on Saturday, August 8th at 9 a.m. for their Stuff the Backpack Drive, where they'll be separating school supplies that will later be distributed to local schools. And just a reminder for families in Ardmore, both city school districts, Ardmore and Plainview, will be returning to classes on Thursday, August 13th. Now, while the deadline to register to vote for the August 25th elections came and went today, voters still have time to request absentee ballots for the upcoming primary runoff elections and for 2 ballot measures that will be decided by voters. The deadline to request absentee ballots by mail for the August 25th election is approaching. Applications must be received by the County Election Board no later than 5 p.m. on Monday, August 10th. Absentee voting is available to all voters, and applications can be submitted actually several ways. Carol Wolf is the election board secretary down in Love County, and she told our sister publication, the Marietta Monitor, this week that no excuse is needed to vote by absentee ballot. She said that voters can submit their applications either online, in person, by email, by snail mail, even by fax. Voters can apply online using the OK Voter portal at oklahoma.gov/elections/OVP. Applications are also available at the County Election Board, or you can even download it by visiting oklahoma.gov/elections. Now, Wolf reminds voters that in most cases it is against the law to request or submit an absentee ballot on behalf of somebody else. Any voter that changed their party affiliation after March 31st will also have to wait until September 1st before that change goes into effect. Here in Carter County, voters with questions about absentee voting should contact the Carter County Election Board at 223-5290, or you can visit the State Election Board website at oklahoma.gov/elections. The Carter County Election Board is located at 25 A Street Northwest, and they're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. The deadline for new voters to register for the August election was July 31st. Now, coming up on August 25th, the ballots and several runoffs for the general election dates in November, and 2 state questions. State Question 844 requires the state legislature to establish a methodology for reimbursing schools, local governments, service districts, and some other local organizations for revenues lost due to manufacturing tax exemption. The other state question, 846, would require voters to provide a proof of identification when voting in any election in the state. Hey, does your group or organization have a public event coming up? Every episode of This Week in Ardmore wraps up with the schedule to give listeners an idea of a few things happening around town. Email your event details to connect@ardmoreleader.com or give me a call, 319-9688, and tell me all about it. Ardmore financial advisor Cody Steele will be back next Friday with his Edward Jones Market Snapshot commentary. All right, let's make this fast. Call or text me, 319-9688. If you have any questions about what Ardmore Leader is doing, if you have something you want Ardmore to know about, if you want to promote your business as a supporter of an independent news source of accurate, verified information. You can also submit your letters to the editor by finding the opinion section over on our website, ardmoreleader.com. You can also email me any sort of contributions, submitted content, news tips, maybe even a voice note if you want to be on the podcast. Whatever it is, email me, connect@ardmoreleader.com. And as we wrap up This Week in Ardmore, let's take a look at the schedule. If your group or organization has a public event coming up, let me know by calling or texting 319-9688 or emailing me, connect@ardmoreleader.com. In public meetings next week, the Carter County Commission will hold their regular meeting coming up on Monday morning, August 3rd at 9 a.m. at the County Administration Building on the corner of A Street and Broadway in downtown Ardmore. The agenda is available right now on the county's website, cartercountyok.us. The Ardmore City Commission will hold their first meeting of August coming up on Monday evening, August 3rd at 6 p.m. on the 3rd floor of City Hall. The agenda for that meeting is up now on the city's website, ardmorecity.org. All right, let's run down some of those back to school events we've got coming up next week. Starting off on Friday, August 7th, Sarah's Project will be holding a free children's clothes drive. That's going to be coming up on Friday, August 7th from 8:30 a.m. until 3 p.m. at their offices, 814 16th Avenue Northwest. Ardmore Literacy Day is coming up on Saturday, August 8th from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. at Central Park. This year, backpacks, school supplies, eye screenings, and dental goodie bags will be available. Coming up on Sunday, August 9th, the Strength in Numbers Back to School Supply Giveaway will be happening from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. at the Marketplace on Broadway, right here in downtown Ardmore. And then finally on Monday, August 10th, the HFE Wilson Community Center will hold their Back to School Bash from 9 a.m. until noon. That's going to be at the HFE Wilson Community Center. There, they'll have school supplies and free haircuts available. I'm Ardmore Leader News Director Michael Dean Smith. Thanks for listening to episode 73 of This Week in Ardmore. Follow us online, ardmoreleader.com, or on social media. And until next Friday, I hope you have a positive week ahead.